Hello everyone, this is part 36 of What If Naruto Learned the Secret of Shadow Clone, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Naruto noted that it didn't take long for her to get used to the weirdly always well-lit room that she found herself in with her mother. Kushina. Kami was that weird to say. To think the woman who gave birth to Naruto was also somehow sealed inside of him. Probably just as big of a mystery there as it was how she came to be. But, as she laid on her back, head resting in her mother's lap, Naruto told her story from when she was created till now. From torturing Danzo, to figuring out she had a sense of self, to leaving for Taki and meeting Fu. It's here that Kushina finally pokes her in the cheek. Can you tell me about her? You seemed more than a little worried about her. Kushina could tell that this Fu person must be very special to the young soul, even if she didn't realize it herself. She's an airhead, full of energy, super cheerful and willing to try and get along with everyone she can. Naruto looked away shyly. She's nice. A really good person. Too good really. Kushina giggled for a moment. Just nice. With as worried as you were, I was sure she was a bit more important to you than that. Yeah, more than nice. Suddenly it was the hardest thing in the world to admit that she had feelings for the mint green-haired girl. Everything had started to feel different once she was reunited with Naruto. Well, it's hard to say it out loud, ya know. Nodding, Kushina runs her fingers through Naruto's long hair. What's holding you back? Well, the same thing that had stalled her from wanting to get involved with Fu in the first place. The same thing she still struggled with since she came to realize she had her own free will. I'm not a real person. Even if I'm somehow created or summoned again, it'll just take a few good hits for me to go away again. I can't stay by her side and, a finger flick to the forehead silenced her. Ow. Hey, what the hell? And how was she feeling pain in this place anyway? What bullshit world rules were they running here? Kushina held up her hand, prepared to unleash another finger flick of doom. Enough of that. You said that Fu told you that you're just as real as anyone else. And I happen to agree. So your currently available body is a little fragile, we can fix that. A kind smile on her face, and gently poked the younger girl in the forehead. Like, totally a promise, Kay. You're so sure about that. How? Mother's intuition. I guess. None of her memories gave her hope about that, but she'd let Kushina have hope. So, what about the rest of the world? What has happened in the last 16 years since I died? Naruto hummed as she thought about what she could or should tell her. Anything about the Konoha Council would probably piss her off to high heaven. Or Naruto's treatment in that village, or Jiraiya. Well, there were more than a few things she probably shouldn't bring up. Well, Naruto and his friends have rebuilt Azushio, there's a new capital city that's thriving and the ninja fortress is coming along. They've allied fully with spring, rice, and hot water. Suna is mostly there, while Konoha is. Konoha and Kiri is working towards it. Iwa seems to be up to its usual antics, same with Kumo. Oh. Naruto has this weird habit of saving nations or endanger princesses pretty often. No clue how that works really. But he's strong. Really, really strong. Plus, he's started to rebuild the clan, he's picked up a few Uzumaki clan members, all women, and he's brought along a couple of girls from Konoha who are super devoted to him. Watching Kushina's eyes widen the longer she goes on, Naruto grins. Plus, there are some little ones on the way. Little ones. Yup. One from the spring daimyo, Kyuki, and the other from a woman he saved, Kotohime. Both love him completely, and are extremely devoted. Naruto had odd feelings about having those memories, now that she and Naruto were separate individuals. Kushina nods absently. Just a moment. Gently raising Naruto's head and laying her back down so she could rise alone. Kushina takes a few steps away calmly. Naruto watches on, curious, as Kushina suddenly bursts into motion. Weird fans decorated in Uzumaki colors in her hands, she does a weird victory dance that sends her twirling and cackling back and forth. Grandbabies. Dance become more acrobatic as she jumps and flips through the air, confetti burst from somewhere to rain down around them. My son has children coming. I'm going to be a grandmother. Oh ho 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 ho. Ah, this was their mother. She was an absolute loon. Well, at least now she knew where they got the crazy from. Settling onto the floor softly and primly wiping her dress down, Kushina returns to kneeling on the floor, gently placing Naruto's head back in her lap. With a blush on her face and coughing once into her fist, Kushina looked away as she motioned for Naruto to continue. Please, what else has been happening? Guessing it was best to ignore that bit of insanity, Naruto pressed on. Well, besides Naruto kicking the shit out of the Sannin, building a bomb large enough to take out villages, and being recognized by the Toads in order to undergo Sage training. I think he's been pretty busy, all things considered. Naruto reached up and gently poked the blushing woman in the cheek. Wanna tell me what that was all about? Never mind ignoring that craziness, she needed answers. It's a mother thing. Giggling, Kushina waves Naruto's odd look away. I think, all things considered, you've done so well for yourself up until now. If only one of us could have been there to guide you. Naruto shakes her head. I mean, that was all Naruto. Not me. Shaking her head, Kushina returns to gently stroking the girl's hair. I was referring to how well you have been dealing with things. Unsure of who or what you are, yet you still somehow made a friend, built a connection that you were willing to fight and die for. For how short a time you have been alive, you've done some real work in trying to improve that girl's life. Here Kushina does frown a bit. Yes, your methods leave much to be desired. Extreme to the max, I'd say. But well, smirking, Kushina thumps her own chest once. I can't say I haven't done my own set of extreme things when it came to those I love. Kushina did her best to reassure the girl below her, while her mind wandered to other topics. Naruto actually built the seal-based bombs. That would have taken more than just her notes in order to do so. Unless he created them completely on his own, which would be worrisome. It was one of the pillars that caused some of the greatest rifts between the Uzumaki and the rest of the world. Never mind their abilities regarding sealing away the Biju or rendering enemy Biju useless. Something to think on more. Naruto was focused on what she had said in a different way. Can you tell me about some of the things you've done? She still thought of herself as a monster, non-human. Maybe hearing more examples could help ground her a bit more. Kushina nods instantly. I would be happy to pass along whichever knowledge that I can to my beautiful daughter. Looking up and thinking, missing Naruto blush, Kushina snaps her fingers. Let me tell you about the time Jiraiya peeped on some of us girls in the bath. Today found Azushio to be humid and warm. Heavy clouds floated overhead and blocked the sun, but no rain as of yet. As the citizens all continued with the day as normal, one young man was doing his best to make sense of what his brain was telling him and trying to make him accept. Groggy but awake, Naruto is trudging his way down one of the main roads followed by a worried Karen and an irritated Jiraiya. Naruto, I'm really thinking you should return to bed. Whatever has you so worried can be checked on by someone else. Karen walked on his right side, a green Hanya mask on her face and thin green chakra covering her hand as she runs it along his spine and the back of his head. Sure, he wasn't injured physically, but he was working through some major mental strain. Any relief she could give would probably be appreciated. Jiraiya had his arms crossed as he walked along on Naruto's left. Listen to the girl Gaki. This can wait, can't it? Idly he noted how as usual the city crowds parted around Naruto easily. He was still aware enough to keep a smile on his face and greet those that greeted him with ease. But to any ninja present they could most likely tell that the kid was worn out. If it's that serious, I can go take care of it for you. Shaking his head, Naruto sighs with some relief as Karen's work does lessen his headache a bit. One of my clones lasted way longer than it should have, finally dispelling yesterday. It was the overload of about a month's worth of information getting dumped on me all at once that knocked me out. Jiraiya nods. So your clone did something, not bad, right? The shadow clone technique was a kinjutsu for a reason. Though the elder was sure none of the previous users ever thought they would run into this sort of problem. Granted, no one had been able to make them in the numbers that Naruto could. That was bound to cause some problems. No. Yes. It's confusing. Having a memory of his chest opening up so he could literally eat two full-grown men was more than a little disturbing. Did all of his clones have that ability? Or was that just Naruto? Just what the hell was she Karen brought up something else. Who is Airhead-chan? Surely his clone wouldn't have somehow picked up a new girl that Naruto himself was now going to have to care for and bring into the fold without their permission. That would be a major drag. Naruto shook his head. Don't know really. Still sorting through all the memories. Pretty sure though that she is a Jinchuriki like me. From Taki. He didn't miss both Karen and Jiraiya pausing for half a step before catching back up with him. He wished he had more complete answers for them. It's easier, you know, when I just use clones for construction or repetitive tasks. My mind filters most of it out easily. But this, it was like a whole separate person's mind was added to my own. I'm having a weird time feeling like I should look down and see tits. Karen finally lets up with her healing as she feels like she's done as much as she can. Mental feedback. Overwriting. Jiraiya shook his head. I'd think more of like, phantom body syndrome maybe. I think the Yamanaka deal with the same thing if they have to mind walk someone of the opposite sex for an extended period of time. It'll clear up after a while. Naruto sighs and thanks the stars for that small miracle. Good. I'm very happy with my own body, thank ya very much. Jiraiya thumps him on the shoulder. So where are you leading us? Motioning ahead as the road begins to clear as they start making their way to a more suburban district, Naruto notes that they are getting close to the Hotaru clan compound, the Uzumaki shrine. Apparently Naruto and Fu decided to pick a fight with a couple of Akatsuki members. Fu. Naruto. Naruto nods to them both. Naruto, the name my clone took while she was on her own. And Fu, the Jinchuriki. Naruto sacrificed herself to send Fu to the Uzumaki shrine with a Hiraishin tag and the last of her chakra. And wasn't that a kicker? She was supposed to send Danzo to him, but instead decided to leave a present for Sasuke to vent his frustrations on later. Odd choice, but one that worked out for her in the end. It further highlighted that she have her own will and made her own decisions. In his head, Kurama grumbles, that a version of you was able to use a Bijudama is more than a little interesting, the little monster. He meant it as a compliment, though the grumble from Naruto clued him in that it would be received as anything but. Most likely because her body was all chakra just like you would be, she could do stuff like that. Doubt I'd be able to pull that off. Not without dying. That's what I figured. Looking up as they pass the Hotaru clan grounds, waving and getting greetings in return from a few of the curious aunties out making their rounds, Naruto spies the Uzumaki shrine just ahead of them. I'm taking a long nap after this. Karen nods and leans into him. You need it. She'd make sure to help him relax later, maybe with Honoka's help. Walking the rest of the way in silence, Naruto pauses as they come upon the rebuilt and cleaned up Uzumaki shrine. Built much like a temple manned by the fire monks, colored in the Uzumaki usual blues and reds, it was an imposing sight. It gave off a peaceful aura to him though, and he kept forgetting and was suddenly reminded that he needed to spend some time here in order to replace Mito with his own shade. Coming to the bottom of the steps, his group is greeted by a gently smiling Mito as she exited the shrine and bowed deeply to him. Returning her bow, Naruto begins to ascend the steps. Is she here? Fu. Mito nods. The poor dear was rather beat up and worse for wear. She's very tired, so to take good care of her. I promise. Mito stands aside as Naruto and the others reach the entrance. I don't have much energy left, your next visit might be my last. Sighing, Naruto pauses to fully face her and bows deeply at the waist. I'm sorry I've been so busy and keep putting this off. I know it's a strain for you. Mito waves him away as she begins to fade. You are doing well, young lord. I believe in you. And then she was gone, leaving Naruto and the others alone, though Jiraiya pokes him in the shoulder. Was that, really Mito Uzumaki? Yup, in the, well not flesh. But you get it. Continuing deeper into the shrine, Naruto comes upon the dark-skinned and battered form of Fu. Resting as comfortably as she can against the altar, Naruto motions for the others to wait as he comes forward. Fu shakes awake, flinching at the sight of the new ninja before locking her gaze onto him first with hostility, but then slowly with some recognition. Kneeling down in front of her, Naruto offers a smile. Hey there, Airhead-chan. Tears beginning to fall within seconds, with a sob Fu reaches forward and latches onto Naruto with all that she's worth. I'm sorry, burying her face into his chest, she accepts his gentle hold of her as he caresses her back. I'm so sorry. Don't need to be. Everything will be alright from here on. You did well. Naruto wasn't Naruto, nor was he going to try to be. He felt more normal now that she had dispelled, but he could part with that part of him easily enough if it helped his felling Jinchuriki. No, I fucked up. I wasn't strong enough. I was arrogant and thought my biju would be enough for me. Another heavy sob racks her frame as she fists her hands into his jacket. I should have listened to Naruto. She wanted to come straight here and I, unable to finish, Fu finally collapses fully into him as the emotional toll catches up with her. Naruto however waves away her concerns, a gentle smile still on his face. Don't need to beat yourself up so much. Naruto knew her time was limited, that she got you here safely is more than enough. Naruto pushed her away a bit and held her by her shoulders. You're here. Safe. Now we'll get to fixing things, one step at a time. Unsealing a soft cloth from a pocket, Naruto offers it to her and she accepts it easily enough, beginning to clean up her face. Thank you. Fu takes a minute to sit back and just watch the kind boy who shared her girlfriend's face. Unable to help herself, she giggles as she relaxes a bit more. Naruto was right, you are a good big brother. Chuckling and grinning, Naruto nods. Can't say I have a lot of practice with it, but thanks. Of course, now he had a whole new host of problems to deal with. Could he recreate Naruto as she was? Did he just have to rely on being lucky, or was it like summoning? Did that mean there was possibly more different versions of him floating around in his clones? Fu watches his face contort as he concentrates and mentally decides to ask the one thing she really wanted to know more than anything else. Can you? Pausing as his blue and purple eye latch onto her, Fu looks away with some embarrassment. Can you re-summon Naruto? She wanted her best friend and girlfriend back, more than anything right now. Tilting his head left and then right as Karen and Jiraiya waited patiently behind him, Naruto thought hard about it. It wouldn't hurt to try after all. I'll give it a shot, I can't promise anything though. It might just be a new variant of me after all. Fu shakes her head quickly as Naruto stands and backs away a bit. I'll know if it's my Na-chan. Of course you will. Closing his eyes in order to focus, he decided he would treat it more like summoning than just making a clone. Actually making the cross seal with his hands to help focus, he begins to well up chakra while poking around in his mind. Deep within him, Kushina and Naruto look up as a tone rings loudly around them, much like a bell. Kushina sighs, while Naruto watches her with some confusion. What was that? Kushina helps the girl stand, coming up herself and bringing her daughter in for one last hug. I wish I had more time. I have so much to tell you and Naruto. So many things to explain to you. Naruto felt herself becoming lighter and started to understand what was happening. He figured it out. Something like that. Kushina held her hands as her body slowly became less and less corporeal. In the lower levels of the temple, there is a tome there detailing a long and bloody history of the Uzumaki. Find it with Naruto's help, and you may just find some answers there. Nodding, Naruto squeezed Kushina's hands. Thanks, Mom. For everything. I hope I get to see you again. Not until you're old and grey, young lady. Make sure of that, okay? You and your reckless brother. Watching Naruto fade away, Kushina sighed and wiped away her tears. Happy that she got to share her feelings with even just a version of her child, it was more than enough, and maybe, more than she deserved. Appearing within the Uzumaki shrine, Naruto stumbles and with a start realizes that she's more complete than before. What the? Her mental holes were gone, she could remember not just Naruto's life, but her own after she had gained independence. She didn't need to hunt around to figure out her emotions or feelings, it was all here. Sure, she still had no clue what she was, but time could fix that. Looking around quickly and catching sight of Naruto grinning at her, she ignored him in her search for Fu. Fu. Said girl was already flying, spearing her in the middle before latching on with arms and legs to hug with other girl with all her might. Fu. Taking control quickly, Naruto kissed the girl she was in love with happily and deeply. Watching on from the sidelines as the two girls assured each other that they were alive and in one piece for the most part, he looked away as things devolved into a crying-filled make-out session. This lets him catch Jiraiya whipping out his book, pencil scratching away as he made notes and giggled. Really? Now? Inspiration comes in all forms, apprentice. That the boy's clone could become this. Surely this opens so many possibilities for the future. I mean, Naruto did nudge him once, hard, technically that's my sister. So weird. Shrugging and ignoring him, Jiraiya keeps writing, not like she's given me an ultimatum yet, so I'm free and clear. From where they had collapsed into each other's arms and sitting on the floor, Naruto doesn't look but gives Jiraiya the finger anyway. I'll rip your balls off and stuff them up your ass, pervy sage. Book disappearing, Jiraiya grumbles, no respect at all. Kurama laughed up a storm in Naruto's head, I like her. Of course you do. Standing again and helping Fu up, Naruto turns to face everyone present. Both girls held the other's hand tightly, refusing to let the other go. Looking at Naruto nervously, she presses on with some silent encouragement from Fu, thanks. Ya no, for bringing me back. I'm not really human, and you don't owe me anything and. Stepping forward, Naruto calmly chops the stressed out girl in the forehead, chill out. Your airhead-chan wanted your big brother's approval, so this was the least that I could do. Fu can't help but pout, I'm not an airhead, she was summarily ignored by the newly minted Uzumaki siblings. Naruto sighs heavily and releases some of the tension that had built up in her shoulders, sure it's temporary, but I'll take what I can get. I'm still a clone after all, just a being made of chakra. Something she would need to look into now that they knew she could come and go when needed. Nodding, Naruto does agree with her, we can figure out how to give you a permanent body one way or another. Stranger stuff has happened. Jiraiya coughs into his hand to gain their attention, there's always blood clones. Dangerous things that. Seeing both blonde teens turning his way, he continues, takes some work and is a major forbidden technique. You'll have to harvest your blood over a long period of time, because you're going to need a lot of it, and a lot of chakra as well. But, it'll create a real flesh and blood body, completely autonomous from you. Naruto continues to just watch the sage with a blank look, and do you know how to do the blood clone technique? No, but I'll go dig up the scroll. Konoha has a copy I'm pretty sure. Jiraiya knew by this point, now that a solution was in sight, none of them would rest until they got it done. Guess that meant he had work to do as well. You'll also need a better handle on chakra natures, including natural chakra, yin and yang release as well. So no more putting off the toads. Karen joins in and comes up to Naruto's side as he nods quietly to the sage, we can get started in my lab as well, drawing blood every few days and storing it away for now. She happily accepts Naruto's arm encircling her waist. Bouncing in place in her excitement, Fu turns to a visibly confused Naruto, you hear that Na-chan? You're gonna get a body. Still super excited she begins to shake the girl back and forth. Letting Fu do as she wanted, Naruto watched Naruto and the others, you're going through a lot for the life of a clone. Karen is the one to answer right away, well, you know how he is, we never hesitate to help family. And that includes you. So it's an easy choice. Naruto nods and focuses intently on Naruto, no matter how you came to be, you're here now. Searching her eyes for something and noting the immature Rinnegan there, Naruto continued, it's weird. You're a clone sure, but not completely me. There's more in you, Naruto pondered over it as he felt about her chakra, there's me, Kurama, and something else. Naruto thinks on that for a moment, so she was a mixture of chakra. Naruto and Kurama made sense. The last, maybe it's mom. Seeing Naruto's eyes begin to widen in shock, Naruto nods, yeah. Kurama isn't the only one sealed in you. Mom's in there too. What the hell? Where is she? Kushina, you brat. Kurama began to rage as how in all these years could his last container not come and see him at least once. All her talk about filling him with love and whatnot. Bah. Naruto shook his head slowly, no way. Was it his dad then? Did he leave a portion of her in him for some reason? Was he in there too? So many new questions with no readily available answers. Naruto could see the confusion and just nodded, guess old dad left you a little gift. Not like they had played with his seal at all, still feeling like they had a long way to go before trying anything with it. Naruto eventually nods at that. Smart-ass old men leaving us with new puzzles to figure out. If he ever got the chance, he'd slug his old man one. Maybe he'd abuse the Shinigami mask just once for that. It'd be worth it. Looking up and seeing Fu continue to shake a tired-looking Naruto back and forth, Naruto walked forward and brought both of them into a hug. Getting a squeak from Fu, Naruto laughed, give me some time, I'll figure out how to make this right. Naruto nodded as Naruto pulled away. I appreciate it. And sorry about the weird memories. Naruto shrugged as he began to grin. Don't worry about it. Just, know, maybe hold off on any more fun time until we figure out how to give you a permanent body, huh? Naruto winked at Fu, who was beginning to visibly blush. I'd rather not have any more memory dumps of your sex life. Please and thank you. Blushing herself, feeling shame for the first time, Naruto points dramatically at him. Delete those memories. Scrub 'em out. Those aren't for you. How the hell am I supposed to do that? It's my brain, I can't just carve 'em out. Naruto rages some more, then I'll dispel and do it for you. Seeing Naruto laugh and back away, Naruto produces a kunai from somewhere. Where do you think you're going? Somewhere not getting brain shanked. Seeing the murderous look into Naruto's eyes, Naruto shrugged and decided to go for broke. For such a surly attitude, you sure turn into a kitten when motivated. Jumping away and running, his laugh echoes in the inner chamber as Naruto chases him with kunai aimed to maim him. Come back here and let me purge you. A kunai left her hand and just barely missed him, but she raced on while marveling at the easier chakra control. It's your fault, not mine. Naruto didn't really know how to feel about having all of these extra memories, but he couldn't deny that Naruto had wonderful taste in women. Call it new sibling love. With a kunai. Can't we call it even? You have all my memories, right? Right. He saw a glazed look into her eyes for a moment before she shook it off and started rushing after him even faster than before, though now with a light blush. Mine are more precious, I'm your baby sister, aren't I? She couldn't let Fu figure that part out either. She didn't want the other girl getting jealous or anything. You're using that to your advantage now. No fair. Life's tough, get over it, asshole. Fu sighs and puts her hands on her hips. Can you not kill each other right after you've gotten together? Exclamation mark quote. Watching the Uzumaki siblings chase each other around the temple, Fu sighs and turns to the others. I sure hope this doesn't become a regular thing. She was more than happy that things worked out somehow, even if temporarily. She'd give thanks to the kami later. Hearing a scream but not able to tell which one of the two made it, she turned to the glasses wearing Karen. Are the Uzumaki usually like this? Karen has no issue nodding right away. We're a hard-hitting and chaotic family, but tight-knit and loving. Karen walks forward to pull the other girl into a soft hug. Welcome to Uzushio and the family. Something tells me you aren't going anywhere. Karen steps back, before both are distracted by Naruto flying overhead. It's not my fault. I'm not a pervert. Flying over them next, nails now claws and eyes fully red, Naruto is grinning up a storm. I'm gonna rip those precious memories out of you. Karen, Fu, and Jiraiya flatly ignored that her mouth was way too wide and had too many teeth as well. Thinking hard on that would lead to madness, and they didn't have the energy for that today. Karen is the first to comment on things though. We've unleashed some new form of chaos on the world. Jiraiya nods. One Naruto was bad enough, but a second one. And a woman might just be the end of the world. Receiving a kick in the shin for his thoughts, Jiraiya watches as Naruto finally catches up and tackles Naruto. He considers that she was probably why Naruto had been so unbalanced lately, but that would be something else to figure out later. Half a world away, the Raikage is in a meeting with a faceless messenger ninja who the burly man hands over a letter to. While he was still waiting on an update from Yugito that should be coming any day now, he'd like to have a backup plan just in case. Noting the headband, steepled his hands together. The land of sky was once a good friend to Kumo, before Konoha destroyed you. It'd be best to send you off with another warning. A new nation is on the rise, one that you helped us put down. There's a chance they will be looking for vengeance, and it'd be best for you to crush them first. Motions to the letter in the messenger's hand. The letter has the details. The Uzumaki have returned, and Uzushio needs to be crushed. Do so, and Kumo will aid you in crushing Konoha. Getting a bow from the silent messenger, waves the man away who efficiently turns and leaves the room. Confident on his call, he summons his next appointment. Sumui and her team enter next, all of them coming to attention before his desk. You called for us, Lord Raikage. Sumui's voice was firm while her gaze held firm. A nod. Yugito is still not expected back for some time yet, but I have a new mission for you. Seeing them all nod, he grins. In case Uzushio fends off Sky, and in the wild case Yugito somehow fails, we'll need to get in contact with Iwa. Here he reaches into his desk to produce a small scroll that he hands to the team leader. Offering him a stern look, continues, this letter is for the Tsuchikage alone, and you are to return ASAP with his response. Understood. They all nod as Sumui slips the scroll away into her pouch, of course Lord Raikage. Waves a massive hand towards the door, then get going. No time to lose here. Watching them leave, his mind turns inward. While it was almost impossible to think that Yugito could fail as the woman was specifically made to be able to pull off missions like this, he did consider the other half of the problem. That Maelstrom was a bleeding heart type, and if he got wind of Yugito's story he'd find a way to spare her. Granted, that did give her the ability to use her some more in the future, so that was a minor plus. Groaning as he leaned back for a moment, he considered that between sky-prodding them into action, and rebuilding some type of alliance with Iwa, Kumo certainly had nothing to fear from the small island nation. Worst came to worst, he'd gather up as many of the smaller villages as necessary and crush the Uzumaki just like his predecessor did. Maybe finally they could get a hold of the fabled Uzumaki hidden scroll. Another world away and in his office as well, Onoki sits alone as night descends on his village after sending his grandchildren away. Troubled and thinking over his next move, he decides that he needs a bigger threat to send after this whelp who was making his life difficult. Young though the Maelstrom may be, he was proving to be cunning and powerful. Onoki knew better as well, given the chance this kid was only going to become more powerful as the days pressed on. Sighing and realizing he was going to have to bite the kunai so to speak, he reached for a fresh piece of paper and a pen. Beginning to pen a letter, he decides that he's going to call in that Akatsuki group for a hit. He hadn't used them in a long time, but this was becoming their level of problem. But it didn't matter. He didn't need some new village upsetting the balance the 5 major villages had. Every one important one so long as their system stayed just the way it was. To break this balance would almost assuredly send the world into another war. One Onoki could admit privately to himself that Iwa might not come out on top of next time. Across the village an upset Kuretsuki is packing and sealing away equipment. She had spent weeks patiently doing just as she was told and being chaperoned on missions, but no longer. Old man wants me on house arrest. Bah, fuck that. I'm going to find that Maelstrom asshole and put him down. She had a score to settle with the Uzumaki, and word was Azushio was alive and well. Diplomatic channels were raving about them, newer tech and ideas, thriving economy, the works. Good for them. She had a target now. Now the question was she going to go alone or bother bringing that Suzumbaki girl again? She'd rather not spend months lost again if she could help it. Plus being alone on the road kinda sucks. Muttering to herself until she remembered that it was partly Suzumbaki's fault that she failed last time anyway. Girl even admitted that her heart wasn't in it. She didn't need that for her next attempt. Sealing everything away and deciding to travel light, she nodded and decided it was better to go it alone. She was focused this time, and she wouldn't lose. Naruto could admit to himself that the last few days had been even more taxing than he had expected them to be. Being knocked out by a long-lasting clone, figuring out she had become independent and had made a friend and love interest and bringing him back to Azushio had been enough all on its own. Then the bombshell that a portion of his mother was sealed inside of him, and more, she had passed along a message about a secret scroll under the shrine. That had been an interesting if uneventful journey and retrieving the scroll was easy enough. Now with said scroll sealed away on a special seal on his thigh, Naruto relaxed in the bath while the others slowly filtered in. Karen and Honoka were cuddled into his sides, chatting with each other while he gentle held both of them around their shoulders. Between the warm water and their warm bodies, he could probably fall asleep if he wasn't careful. Out of the water and off to the side Kotohime and Kyuki are being attended to by clones. Each girl getting a mixture of back and foot rubs while they chat quietly together. Honoka pokes Naruto in the side as she can see him start to nod off a bit. Shouldn't you go and rest? You've been really pushing yourself lately. Karen agrees with her, we wouldn't mind helping you back to your room ya no. Wiggling her eyebrows at him, Naruto smiles and shakes his head. Great offer, but I'm honestly pretty good. I wanna enjoy as much time with you all as possible. Every day would be a busy one from here on. Being a leader was no easy task. Even with clones, he still felt stretched thin. Kotohime turned her head to look over towards him. We've certainly enjoyed the extra time with you, my love. Next to her, a dozing Kayuki mumbled and nodded in a half-dazed state. From the entryway they all turned at the sound of feet slapping on the tiles, and were met with a cautious-looking Fu wrapped in a towel and a brash and confident Naruto leading the way. Yo. Naruto raised a hand. Yo. Karen rolled her eyes. His idiocy does multiply. Naruto laughed as Fu gently lowered herself into the water. I'd like to think I'm the better version. Naruto tilted his head at that. How do you figure? I'm the original after all, which is the best as everyone knows. Motioning down to herself, Naruto smirked, cause I'm the upgrade. Look at me. Everyone knows women do it better. Naked and willing to show off, she had no reason mentally to feel shame. She knew she was hot. Naruto shook his head. Yeah, women do in fact do it better. But you're more like a spore. He misses Karen and Honoka sigh and edge away into the deeper water, making their way towards Fu and out of the conflict zone. Ignoring Fu trying to persuade her to relax, Naruto gave him the finger. What was that? Yeah, maybe a parasite code name for your radio would work best for you. Naruto couldn't help but return her smirk with a single finger salute of his own. Should I start calling you Sport-chan instead? You're just lucky I don't have a permanent body yet. Maybe you're scared I'll take all the girls from you. She misses Karen and Honoka pull Fu off to the side, well out of thrashing range. Yeah, you're missing something if you want a chance at that. Girls do it better, jackass, let me tell you. I'd rather not know more details about you than I need. Those are my memories, asshole. Scrub 'em out. We've been over this. I can't, you dits. Ignoring the new siblings coming to blows, Karen and Honoka sit with Fu in between them. It's good to have you here, Fu. Have you adjusted all right? Nodding and doing her best to ignore the attractive blondes wrestling together, Fu turned to the others with a flush. Yeah, it's been lots of fun. Azushio is such a friendly and beautiful place and the sea is so big. I've never been to the ocean before. She made a face of disgust though and stuck out her tongue, but the water is so salty. Laughing, Honoka nods at the other girl's pain. Ocean water is very salty, it'll actually kill you if you try to drink too much of it. You should get in touch with one of the Undertow teams, they can take you down and show you to reef. It's a really beautiful area to see and explore. And all the fish are so vibrant and lively. Still relaxed and moaning as one of the clones pressed a bit harder into her back, Kotohime locked eyes with Fu. I do hope you plan on staying for a long while. Beyond when Naruto finally gets a real body of her own. She was idly listening in as Naruto and Naruko were still somehow exchanging barbs back and forth. So crude. We've thought about it. Fu starts off before turning to watch Naruko disappear under the water. Naruko does consider this home, so if we do start wandering around and exploring, we'll still come back often. Plus, she's excited about the babies. Fu considered that one as well. While in Taki, she had never considered finding love or children and the like. Now that she was free to go and do as she liked. Well, it was a possibility. More distractions as another group appeared at the entrance. Tayuya and the others had returned to Azushio. Tired and ready to relax themselves, the freshly cleaned up group took in the sight of the bath and slid into the water. We're home. Hinata called out as Tayuya and Ino waded their way towards Naruto, who casually tossed Naruko back towards Fu. We have additions. Having just returned, they weren't up to date yet on the newest arrivals. Tayuya and Ino capture Naruto's sides, each latching onto him tightly. The desert sucks. Tayuya nods at Ino's complaint. The sand, it gets everywhere. I don't know how sooner girls deal with it. She'd have to ask Temari next time they were out there. Chuckling and hugging both girls tightly, Naruto looks up to Hinata and explains the situation with Fu and Naruko. He leaves out the more gruesome details and anything related to Danzo for now, but Naruko gaining her sense of self, exploring, finding Fu and making a connection with the girl was all in there. Ending with the fight and escape from the Akatsuki members. So through all of that, I've gained a little sister, some interesting info about the Uzumaki, and Fu a defectee from the land of Taki and the container of the Seven Tails. Bashfully waving to the three new girls looking her way, Fu smiled while Naruko crossed her arms with a wide grin. Yo. Hinata turned to bow lightly to the girl. Welcome to the family then, Fu. I'm sure Naruko will take good care of you. Fu being sent into a blushing mess of giggles, Naruto leveled bored eyes towards Hinata. What about me? No, hello. Confusion if I'm really a person or not. Questions about what I'm gonna do. Suddenly Hinata was very much in her personal space. You aren't Naruto, but you have all of his memories, yes. Hinata watched as Naruto nodded, so that means, much like him, you have a reckless streak a mile wide, right? Another worried nod, but Fu is such a cute and trusting girl, you wouldn't want to worry her, right? Nodding faster now as a dark aura started to surround the pale-eyed girl, Hinata finally smiled brightly. Then all my questions are answered. Welcome home, Naruto. Wading off with a smile, Naruto released a breath she didn't know she was holding. What the hell? I can turn into a nightmare monster, and she still scared the shit out of me. Karen nodded as she floated by. Hinata is just special like that. Fu finally pulls Naruto down into her lap, wrapping her arms around her middle. I'm just happy we're being accepted. We have more friends now. And family. This is awesome. Maybe my plan of pulling all of the Jinchuriki together wasn't so outlandish after all. Though she had thought she had mumbled the last part to herself, the others heard her clearly. That catches Naruto's attention. You wanna get all the Jinchuriki together? Yeah. Fu pumps a fist into the air as she draws everyone's attention. I always thought that, there isn't really anyone who understands exactly what we go through, except for each other, no. So I thought, maybe one day, we could all find each other. Maybe we could be friends. Fu turned hopeful eyes towards Naruto, who decided to nod and give her a thumbs up. I like it, sounds like a good plan to me. Of course, politically it might cause a storm of problems, but that was for lesser men to worry about. He was striving to be the strongest after all, to protect all of his friends and family, and his people. Why should he worry about what some dusty old men thought about him? Indeed. Why worry about the weak? Crush them all and build the world to your liking. Something you'd do, huh? Not really. I'd rather take a nap for a few hundred years. Lazy ass. Workaholic. Pulled from his thoughts, everyone is startled as there's a puff of smoke just behind Naruto's head. None really worried at first, since no one outside of them or Uzumaki blood could shushan in here, but the small form of a toad standing there in brown robes was certainly a surprise. Naruto blinked, and then sighed. Hey Fukasaku, long time. Don't you long time me boy. You're late. Wincing, Naruto gently shakes himself free from Tayuya and Ino. I know. Can't I at least, no, in the morning? No can do. At this rate you'll never come, and your training will be even harder to complete later. This has to be now. Sighing heavily, Naruto turns to the others as the room goes quiet. They had all known that he would be leaving soon for this, but perhaps not so suddenly. Guess I have been a little too busy lately. Sniffing, the elder toad turns away from the others. That's putting it mildly. You've already requested that we accelerate your training however we can, best not to put it off any more before you're not able to train at all. Fukasaku knew he was being a bit harsh, but in his age he knew the truth of it. The more excuses Naruto found to stay behind, the longer he would continue to put off training, until it was too late to complete it at all. Your chakra control and reserves are well above par, so you might just make your self-inflicted deadline. Hi. Alright, let me say goodbye to everyone. Seeing the toad nod and hope away towards the entrance, Naruto turned to the others. Guess this is it. Sorry everyone. Wading through the water, Hinata is the first to press herself into him, hugging him gently before pressing her lips to his in a soft kiss. Worry not. Pulling away with a smile and teary eyes, she hugs herself. We'll hold down the fort here, and await your return. Ino is next, another soft kiss before joining Hinata. I'll make sure Thunder Tits doesn't get too lonely. You'll turn green one day, you gorilla. Shush. Tayuya shakes her head and comes forward to hug him next and enjoying his arms around her as well. Another kiss before she pulls away. I'll make sure things run smoothly and no one goes crazy. I'll keep our ninja in line. Naruto nods as he watches Kyuki and Kotohime enter the water to join him. You better. Don't overwork yourself, okay? Like you. Kyuki snipes at him as she receives her own hug. You'd best hurry back. We all have certain cravings you'll need to catch up on. Whispering huskily into his ear, the spring daimyo grins at the flush on his face as she joins the others and lets Kotohime have her moment. You'll do your best, right my lord? Naruto nods, initiating his kiss with Kotohime as she moans into his mouth. Sure will. I'll be back as soon as I can. I believe in you. Teary, Kotohime gives space to Karen and Honoka who decide to hug him together. Though it's Karen who gets her lip time first, followed by a shy Honoka. You better praise us a lot when you get back. We'll have things running so smoothly you'll have no choice but to take us on a super awesome vacation. Karen had no problem crying openly, while Honoka nodded in agreement. Got it. Naruto nods, watching all of his girls coming together, sticking close as he starts to rise from the water. Got it. Make me proud, huh? And I'll do the same. His eyes travel to Naruto and Fu, and he smirks at his pseudo-sister. Watch out for them, will ya? Naruto pouts, hands on her hips. You didn't even have to ask. I woulda done that anyway. She stabs a finger towards him. You better not drag your feet, or I really will start stealing 'em away from you. Fu started shaking her by the arm. Don't start picking a fight now. Be nice. This is me nice. Wanna see me mean? Tayuya snorted as Karen poked her in the side. Sound familiar? Blow it out your ass. Chuckling at their antics, Naruto walks around to the entrance where Fukasaku jumps onto his shoulder. Let's go tadpole, before you get cold feet. Naruto shook his head with a grin. No chance of that. I'm fired up like never before. He had the complete faith of his family behind him. No way he would be letting him down. I'll show ya. I'll complete this training and be back before a month is out. Bold words tadpole, let's get you dressed and see if you can live up to M. And then they were gone, walking into the changing room where Naruto would dress and the Elder Toad would reverse summon him to Mount Myoboku. Inside the bath, the girls have all sat in the warm waters, taking what comfort they could while the person they loved most was actually gone. Down and mopey, it is Ino who stands suddenly and pumps a fist in the air. Come on Jarl. This is our big chance. Tayuya looked at her like she was crazy. What big chance? To do shit tons of paperwork. No you brawler. Think about it. We gotta show Naruto that we can support him, that he doesn't have to do everything alone. She trails eyes across all of the current Foxton girls, a bright but teary smile on her face. We aren't aiming to just keep things running. We should improve and streamline things as well. When he comes back, he should be so impressed he'll shower us with pampering for years. Kotohime relaxed back into the water against the edge of the bath. I rather like this idea. Naruto did once say he's striving to be the strongest. He should be surrounded by the strongest as well. Kyuki motioned down to herself. That is your division. I'll continue to be strong in the political sphere, thank you. But it would be good to throw some weight around. Frost needed some prodding, and while the Land of Water's ninja village was willing to ally with them, she and the Water Daimyo haven't had a chance to speak just yet. That needed to change. Karen and Honoka leaned into each other. Guess no rest for us, huh? Time to ramp up our own training then. Honoka nods with Karen. I can already feel my chains itching. Hinata has a thoughtful look on her face before she snaps her fingers. Naruto is counting on us. He's wanted us to be able to stand on our own without him, so we better prove that we can. This is a major test for Azushio. Her own SEAL training was entering a new path. She was thinking of a way to integrate it with her Juken. Tayuya nods. I may be stuck with paperwork for a while, but I won't be slacking off either. She'd just have to order the Chinook and the Hotaru around a lot to make up for it. They'd get so many missions done even Naruto would be impressed. Fu, however, is worried about a situation more personal to just Naruto. There is a slight problem though. All of the girls outside of Naruto look at her questioningly. Naruto was the only one who could recharge Naruto's chakra fully. Eating food helps, and we have a small method as well, but it isn't enough on its own. She blushed at the end, not wanting to come out and say how they figured out how to recharge her nightly. Naruto shrugs her worry off. I can always go out and hunt. Bandits are just about always a thing. Not that they would give her enough chakra. She needed some real ninja for that. But it might tide her for a month or two and be low risk enough to keep her from popping. Now the girls of Foxton are even more confused, and Ino voices the question, how does hunting help you? Do animals give you more chakra? Naruto chuckles darkly, a certain animal, yeah. I'm something of a chakra vampire until I have a real body. So yeah. Having fun or not, it was still awkward to come out and say that she had to eat people. Fu had no such reservations if it meant keeping her favorite person around. She can't regenerate chakra like us. No body, no chakra core. Tayuya figured it out quickly enough. Well, I'm sure we can have you both tag along on some low-level missions and bandit raids whenever you get close to needing a recharge. Ino takes a minute as Naruto begins to chuckle in the same way Naruto would when he figured out a particular explosion-based problem. She's like a darker, more murderous Naruto. Hinata nudged her in the side. Kami, help whoever we point her towards. B. Making their way through the main gates of Konoha, Team 7 gives thanks that their mission is over and done with. Sasuke and Sakura lean against each other while Kakashi smiles and waves them off with a salute. I'll be making our report to Lady Tsunade. You two get some rest. Plus it would be good to see Shizune, and prepare her for the coming whirlwind that was Sakura. Hi sensei. Sakura spoke up for both of them and watched as the Cyclops performed a shunshin, leaving in a burst of leaves. I could sleep for a few days straight. Sasuke nods. Sounds like a good idea. Should I walk you home? Sakura shook her head. You know I'm going with you, right? I'm just headed home. Seeing the frown that was beginning to build on her face, Sasuke nodded. You know you don't have to be there for this. Sakura just grinning and laced her hands together behind her back. I promised you that I would stick by your side. Through the bad stuff and the good stuff. Alright, I appreciate it. He was curious about what that clone of Naruto might have left for him, and as they weaved through the early evening crowds to make their way towards the Uchiha compound, his thoughts focused more on the problems he now faced. The contents of the letter still on his mind now that he wasn't worried about their mission. His earlier decision to leave the leaf was weighing on him. He knew without a doubt that Sakura would follow him, and Naruto would accept them no question. But after that, what sort of problems would that cause? Would there be a bigger rift between Konoha and Uzushio? Would a war spark from this? Or, should he finally act as a member of the council and formally cut ties as he was legally allowed? He'd have to think on it heavily, perhaps after they dealt with tonight. Crossing over from the rest of Konoha and into the quiet and empty Uchiha grounds, Sakura poked him as they came across small paper arrows arranged on the ground. Think the clone wants us to follow these. Just knowing Naruto's prankster streak couldn't help itself, Sasuke nodded. Watch for traps, just in case. Sakura shuddered. Naruto wouldn't blow us up, right? Not outside of a spa. Sasuke almost added the maybe before stopping himself. He didn't need to jinx it, and he was relatively sure Naruto would respect his clan's resting place. That clone on the other hand. Shaking the thought from his mind, they walked along following the arrows on the ground first to his home, and then through it and out of the back door, towards the lake where he used to train his grand fireball technique. Off to the side there was a tree where he would rest and cloud gaze when he was worn out, but tonight there was a final arrow pointing to a new wooden trap door at its base. Sakura nodded. When the hell did the clone or Naruto have the time to build a bunker in your backyard? Better question, how did they do it and make sure I didn't see them? Both looked at each other before shrugging and leaning down. Sasuke pulled it open carefully, and when no traps were apparent, they both looking down into the darkness. A few inches of dirt gave way to dense stone, though they could just barely see the bottom. Sasuke can't help but sigh. Naruto has way too much free time on his hands. Sakura is the first to leap into the darkness. You'd think he'd be busy with all of his wives. Down she went, and Sasuke jumped after her. Feeling a moment of vertigo before contacting a stone floor, Sasuke looked up to see the entrance was maybe 5 meters above them. Not that deep. Sakura tried and failed to pierce the darkness, dark as hell though. As she finished her sentence, seals lit up along the floor before torches lit up along the walls of the 5 meter by 5 meter space, showing them just what or rather who the clone had left for Sasuke. Blinking owlishly, Sakura whistled, well shit. Sasuke looked upon the beaten and broken form of the Konoha council elder, Danzo, and grunted. The man was chained to the back wall of the small chamber, and looked for all purposes, dead. Some present, having a dead council member near his home wasn't something he could claim to look forward to, but there was some type of note on his chest that Sasuke walked forward to rip free from the senbon holding it in place while Sakura looked the council member over. He's alive. No way. Sasuke gives her an incredulous look while said girl holds up a glowing green hand while raising an eyebrow. Right. Medical ninja. Shaking his head as he reads the note, his own eyebrows begin to rise. Heyo Sasuke. So I might have gone a little overboard, but I made sure not to break your new toy completely. There's a seal on his chest that'll keep him in stasis until you remove it. He might be in a little bit of pain, so cover your ears. Sure, I took his arm, but there's still one intact Sharingan in his skull. It's yours, use it. Also, have fun. He's all yours to do with as you please. Naruto. Sasuke finished reading the note before handing it to Sakura so he could step forward to inspect the bare chest of Danzo for the seal. Finding it, he pokes it tentatively and sees it flare a bright red, but it stays active. You're being rather calm about all of this, Sakura. Sakura can't help but nod instantly. Sure, some part of her was repulsed by the brutality of what had been done to the man, but at the same time, well, he's responsible for a lot of suffering and pain. Especially for the two men that I find the most important in my life outside of my dad and Kakashi-sensei. That he's made it this far is a miracle, because if I could give him a Biju-sized enema, I absolutely would. Pausing as she grinned and put her hands on her hips, she shrugged. If anyone actually deserves to be tortured and killed, it's probably him. Sasuke was the love of her life, and Naruto was like a crazy yet super loving brother she never knew she needed. She'd die for either one of them, and she had no hesitation in believing that they both would do the same for her. I think being around me and Naruto has finally corrupted you completely. Dodging the slap headed his way, Sasuke nods and takes a moment while pulling up Danzo's right eyelid and seeing the Sharingan eye there. How the hell did he get this? And why would Naruto say he's leaving it for me? That perked Sakura's interest. If Naruto says it's for you, there's a reason for it. I'll carve it out of his head and store it safely in the meantime. Whether she was worthy of it or not, she'd get to have her own bit of blood out of the plotting counselor. Stepping forward and digging a scalpel from her pack, she tried not to grin like Naruto. You're probably right about the corruption, your fault anyway. Sasuke did his best not to shiver at the murderous look on Sakura's face and gave thanks that he wasn't the focus of her ire. Thinking back completely to their last conversation, which coincided with his earlier thoughts, what was the point in staying in Konoha? Danzo might be dead in a few hours, or days maybe after Sasuke worked out his anger and asked a few questions of his own, but then what? Not wanting to mentally go in circles, Sasuke reminded himself to talk with Kakashi and maybe make plans to cut ties with the council. Perhaps, after making sure with Naruto that he could transport the entire clan compound like he had done with the Uzumaki shrine. Sighing with relief, it was quick work to seal away the bloody eye in a stasis scroll before walking back towards the quiet Sasuke. Laying a gentle hand on his arm, she offers him a kind smile. I'll be at the house making some dinner. She lays a gentle kiss on his lips. Take all the time you need. And then she was gone, an easy jump out of the basement, before replacing the trapdoor as she left. A seal flashed blue there as it closed, sealing all sound within the chamber. Alone and being able to focus, Sasuke walks up to Danzo and deactivates the stasis seal. It takes a minute, color returning to his face and low moans fill the chamber before as Sasuke steps back out of reach, Danzo's screams quickly fill the space. As he shook and strained against the chains, their metal scraping against each other and the stone, Sasuke watched on with a detachment that was only accomplished by focusing on his rage for this man. Waiting for a few minutes while Danzo gets himself under control, his remaining eye rolling in his head before lazily focusing on Sasuke. Drool rolling down his chin and blood leaking from his empty right eye socket, the old ninja gave the best snarl he could to the teen. Hey, so she gave me to you, did she? Spitting blood on the floor, Danzo was panting and hanging limply on the chains. Do what you will. I'll die knowing I did everything I must for the leaf and her continued prosperity. Sasuke shrugged, moving to pull his sword from its sheath, so killing my clan was for the good of the leaf. His eyes bled red into his dojutsu, each eye with 3 full tomo. Harvesting them for parts. Lying, cheating, stealing. All just for the leaf, huh? Focusing completely on the man, letting his rage boil in his mind, the teen gripped his weapon tightly. Truly some pathetic last words, old man. With his rage was also memory. This was one of the men that ordered the death of his clan, every man, woman, and child besides himself and his brother. That loss, that emptiness, it all still haunted him. Unnoticed, his eye began to bleed. There's a storm coming, boy. You won't be enough to hold it back. Sasuke finally steps within striking range, a wide grin stretching his face and causing a look of fear to cross Danzo's face. Don't you worry about what comes next, Danzo. You worry about me. My rage. My hate. The tip of his sword was now pressed against his other remaining arm. Until I'm satisfied, every bit of this is going to be painful. Exhaling a thin stream of fire onto his blade, the metal began to glow a cheery red with the heat. The sizzle of burning flesh filled the air as Danzo grunted and tried to hold back more screams. Why don't you give me whatever information you have left? I might be merciful. No chance of that, of course. Maybe he would have to thank Naruto for this little gift. Later, after he cleaned up all of the blood. A new day, and deep below the Uzumaki tower, Tayuya is followed by Karen as they make their way towards the prison ward. Though the hallways are well lit, it still feels eerily similar to their time in the sound bases. Maybe they'd add some color down here to break things up. Make it a little cheerful. Karen Power walks slightly behind Tayuya's right shoulder, a worried look on her face. There's only a few prisoners here, what's the rush? Tayuya's pace was brisk, and Karen was forced to lengthen her strides to keep up with her. Things have changed. We know Kumo is on the move with something, and I'd like to have any and all information for Naruto from Yugito that we can get. Tayuya sighs as she scratches at her head, plus we need to decide what to do with Kabuto. That snake in the grass is going to be dangerous even sealed up and chained to the wall. Karen nods along with that thought. Kabuto is only in it for himself after all. Maybe we should kill him and be done with it. Tayuya nods instantly. I'd say yes right away, but, well, Naruto would at least like to give him a chance. Just one. Like that Sai kid. Though that was when Naruto was apparently unbalanced. Maybe she should ask again when Naruto was truly whole and himself. Karen pulls a small booklet from her pouch at the small of her back. Ino says Sai's therapy has been going well. No promises on if he'll ever be better or back to normal. But he is at least past thinking Danzo is everything in his life. Some good news at least. He won't be on his own for a long while, but it's a start. Tayuya shrugs. Azu can use him as a bargaining chip against Konoha in the future. He did try to blow us up. Not that he would have been able to, at all. Uzumaki seals were special like that. Karen knows this as well. Azushio was never in any real danger. Sounds like a dirty move. They both stare at each other as Tayuya finally slows down, before they share a laugh that echoes off of the hallway walls. We are ninja, right? Tayuya wipes a tear from her eye and nods. Damn straight. Now then, coming up to Yugito's room, situated in the nicer area so to speak, she knocks on the door twice. Yo. It's Tayuya and Karen, coming in. Opening the door, both girls are treated to the sight of a mostly bare room. The walls were a bright sea blue while the floor and ceiling were white. There was a bed along the right wall covered in soft white linens, while to the left was a doorway with a small bathroom and shower. In the middle of the room was an art easel, surrounded by paints and currently hosting a painting being worked on by a smiling Yugito. Dressed not in her ninja attire, instead trading in her weapons and armor for blue silk pants and a blouse with long sleeves, the woman looked almost at home in the small yet cozy space. Bowing to the pair, Yugito turned on her stool to face them. Hello. I must thank Naruto again for allowing me supplies to paint. It was a hobby I never got the chance to really explore. Tayuya looks over said painting, a crane over a bright sunset. Naruto did want you treated more like a guest than a prisoner. So if you need anything else, let us know. Yugito nods, bowing deeply to them both. I will keep that in mind. So, please, what do you need of me today? Straight to the point, huh? Okay. Tayuya nods and adopts a more relaxed pose. What are the odds Kumo will attack Azu directly? Yugito doesn't have to think about that one at all. The Raikage was confident, but cautious. All but nil. Kumo won't come directly for Azushio themselves. No. Kumo will utilize proxies to fight their battles first. So if you start to get harassed from smaller countries, suspect Kumo is behind it. Kumo has a talent for riling up smaller nations. Tayuya nods as Karen is taking notes in her notebook. Do you still want to kill Naruto? Yugito shook her head quickly. I never wanted to kill him in the first place. Here she looks both young women in the eyes. Loyalty and honor, powerful drugs, don't you think? In her mind the Matatabe's voice rings out. Don't forget about my demands. Mama needs her nookie. You horny cat. Hush and get to talking. Sighing, Yugito nods along. My Biju has a request of her own. A bit personal. Both girls blink and wonder what a Biju could want of them. Tayuya of course waves a hand. Well, what's up? Hopefully we can help. Yugito looks away, a bit embarrassed. I broke my word to her. So, for any future help from her, she wants a night with Naruto, if that can be arranged. Just one night. That's not enough at all. You're making me ask these women to pimp out their husband. Be happy I'm asking at all. Don't yell at me, you've done this to yourself, you stubborn girl. Blinking again and trying to process what they just heard, Tayuya and Karen turn to look at each other before looking back towards Yugito. Karen adjusts her glasses. Your Biju wants to get laid, yes. Being straight and to the point was the only way to power through the embarrassment right now. The flush on her face could probably start a fire. Karen pulls Tayuya aside so they could whisper to each other. We could probably just seal the Nibia way tighter and not have to deal with this. Tayuya shakes her head. That'd be wrong, for a lot of reasons, and Naruto would never go for it. Kane agrees, knowing Naruto wouldn't want that. The Nibi didn't do anything wrong after all, the Biju had been sealed away against their wishes. Blocking them off further from their surroundings wouldn't do anyone any favors. She turned back to Yugito to address her directly. Do you have feelings for Naruto? They should at least get the basics out of the way. Yugito shook her head, now with a smile back on her face. No. At least, not the ones you think. He is very powerful, confident, a born leader. But that's more Samui's thing, not mine. Yugito tilted her head a bit as she thought about what she wanted. I can't say I'm in the mood to settle down as of yet. Maybe in the future. In my heart, I want to travel, wander a bit, figure out who I am. You understand. Seeing both girls again nod and relax a bit, Yugito continues, it would be nice to not have to watch over my shoulders for hunters or wannabe despots after my Biju. Tayuya thinks it over some more. One night versus gaining an ally and a friend. A powerful one at that. She'd have to talk with the others, but she had a feeling what they might say. We can talk about it. Your Biju just needs one night. Well, we might be able to work out a deal. Karen is actually surprised that the most attached one of them, Tayuya, was willing to let someone else in, even a little bit. Pulling her aside again, Karen has to know why. Are you sure, Ta-chan? Tayuya nods, not bothering to lower her voice. Yugito is just as much of a pawn in all of this as we used to be. If we can get her to defect and the price is some Biju satisfying sexy time, well, it's for Azu. Wouldn't we do anything for Azu? Turning back to the blushing woman, Tayuya points a finger at her. You'd be willing to work for Azushio for a short while. To pay back your debt to us. You know, for trying to kill Naruto in the first place. Yugito doesn't have to think too hard about it, not really having any choice in the matter. Well, she could just die, she supposed. Again with that shit. Knock it off. Hi. And take the deal. I better get the best pawn curling night of my life. Hi. Yugito has no problem agreeing to the terms in the end, she just felt like annoying them at Tartaby. The terms are fair, depending on the length of my sentence. I'll consult with the others, but I'm thinking a few years, no more than 5 I think. Tayuya looked back and winked at Karen. Fair enough. Yugito bows again, very. Both girls prepare to leave, but Karen motions to the door. You've been very easy to deal with and upfront about everything. Maybe we can move you to an actual hotel room, under guard still of course. The seal placed on her made it impossible to leave Azushio, but a guard presence would normalize everything and give her someone to maybe talk to. Yugito smiles, that would be wonderful. Maybe some books as well. Seeing the girls nod as they leave, Yugito returns to her painting, a more hopeful look in her eyes. Outside of the room and closing the door, Tayuya sighs as they walk away. That went better than I expected. You did have to pimp out our husband. Groaning, Tayuya waved her hands in the air, that stamina freak won't mind. Maybe. Hopefully. You'd think he'd be a complete horn dog by now. Surprisingly he wasn't, at least until they got his motor going. Karen giggles, you get to tell him that when he returns. Oh come on, you can help me out right? Nope, you're in charge, not me. I can order you to. Try it, see what happens. Tayuya thought about that. Sure. Karen and Honoka both liked to be ordered around a bit, but that was by Naruto and him alone. They certainly didn't take that from anyone else, including the other girls, and they were the tinkerers of the group, who knew what sort of payback they would dish out. Yeah, damn it, I get it. Still, not fair. Heavy is the crown. Screw this. Naruto is getting this responsibility back as soon as he gets back. That and a few days worth of pampering. Karen smiles and juggles her notebook a bit in her boredom as they walk to their next destination. So, Kabuto. Tayuya takes a second to focus, mind switching gears as she thinks about the Medican spy. Yeah. He's next and won't be nearly as fun. It was shaping up to be a long day. It has been a few days of heavy training on Mount Myoboku, and while Naruto is currently resting at the end of a long training day. Sitting cross-legged, he has a heavy scroll in his lap and is poring over it. Having decided that he would read over the Uzumaki scroll during all of his downtime, he was finding it fascinating. Not just even more complicated seals and theories that the him of a couple of years ago wouldn't have been able to even begin making heads or tails of, but the history of the clan was laid out here. He had skimmed it at first, but now he was getting a good read of it, wanting to soak up as much of it as possible. Properly at that. This was the scene Fukasaku came upon, sitting among the rocks outside of his home and next to Naruto. What's that tadpole? The smell of a good dinner was wafting from the small home where Ma was cooking, though Naruto might not agree with him on that one. Seems to have your concentration and attention just as much as sage training does. Naruto holds up the scroll for a second to show off the swirl patterns along its black backing. It's a scroll detailing the long and forgotten history of the Uzumaki clan. Seems to date back a real long way. Even before the clan split away from the Senju. And wasn't that a kicker to learn? He'd tease-sooned about it later. Fukasaku is a bit surprised that a scroll like that had survived so long. What have you learned so far? Not much. It's hard to read in some places. But it's weird. The longer I read it, the easier it seems to get to read the parts that are fuzzy. Like my eyes are adjusting to the old script and ancient seal arrays. Naruto wouldn't put it past the Uzumaki to put seals in place to require something like read time or certain knowledge to be needed in order to finish the scroll. Fukasaku, however, was paying closer attention to Naruto's eyes, the Rinnegan fully mature in his left eye, but now, unnoticed by the boy, his right eye was beginning to change as well. Blue bleeding away to purple, though no ripples there as of yet. Curious and worrying. He wouldn't bring it up. Better to let nature take its course. Try not to push yourself too hard, will you? We still have a lot of training to get to, so rest when you must. Of course, Elder, I will. Watching the toad hop away back inside, Naruto turns back to the scroll while waking up Kurama. Apparently Granny and I really are related. Even if it's distantly. This scroll has a lot of information in it. Some forbidden and ancient knowledge at that. This stretched all the way before to possibly even before the Biju's time. Which was saying something. For the wealth in knowledge that was now resting in Naruto's lap. Naruto nods. Yeah. There's a section in here simply labeled as the World Ender, and I get the feeling it's absolutely not to be taken lightly if even the Uzumaki have labeled it as forbidden. So much in fact that I can't read it at all beyond the name. Naruto shook his head as he focused again. I'm going to read through as much as I can. This is important. If you get far enough back and have questions, I may be able to fill in some blanks. What could you fill me in on? Oh, you know. Little things. My creator, Hagoromo for one. Your creator. That's a little thing. Chuckling, Kurama settles in to go back to sleep. Read Naruto. When you've completed your sage training and make me whole again, I'll fill you in on my history. Got it, old man? I'll hold you to that. Kurama twitched at that. Stubborn brat. Lazy old fart. Manwhore. Jackass. Friends though they may be, this would continue for some time. They had come to an understanding. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.